Okay, Denny, if you're going to keep putting up signs like this, please, for the love of God, actually win a championship. What's up, everyone? My name is Jed. Welcome back to an episode of MDK Racing Victory Stop. Hope we're having a wonderful day. Absolute domination, specifically by Denny Hamlin, who earns his 6th career win at Martinsville Speedway, his first win in 10 years after leading 274 of the 400 laps. On top of that, winning stage 2, absolute dominant fashion, holding off Christopher Bell and Bubba Wallace to take his first checkered flag of 2025. And yeah, like I said, absolute domination by Denny Hamlin. Let's take a look at the race results here. So like I said, Hamlin wins. Second is Christopher Bell. Third, Bubba Wallace for the second week in a row, continuing on his consistency in 2025. Fourth is Chase Elliott. Fifth is Kyle Larson. Sixth, Ross Chastain. How about Ryan Preece? 7th place. Nice run for him. 8th is Joe Logano, rebounding after he got spun by Chase Briscoe. Gets his first top 10 of the season in 8th. And Briscoe himself finishing in 9th with Todd Gilliland. Good run for him in the top 10. Ryan Blaney in 11th after starting back in 32nd. Michael McDowell with Ty Gibbs gets his first top 15 finish, but he also has some issues with Tyler Reddick, who finishes in 14th with Ty Dillon rounding out the top 15. Zane Smith, Kyle Busch, his teammate, RCR driver Austin Dillon in 18th. Carson Hocevar and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. the top 20. Some notables here. You look at Daniel Suarez, William Byron, 22nd. Shocking to see him this far down. Chris Buescher had some issues throughout the race. He finishes in 25th, as well as Brad Keselowski. Alex Bowman had problems. He had a loose wheel, had to make another pit stop, and was not able to recover. Finishes in the 28th position. Noah Gragson in 30th. Now him and Chris Buescher had some contact. Chris Buescher drove in into turns 1 and 2, and then knocked down Noah Gragson. And Gragson wanted to get some payback, showed his displeasure to the 17 driver. 31st is Cody Ware. 32nd is Riley Herbst. Now he got spun out by Austin Cindric in what looked intentional, although not as blatant as what it was against Ty Dillon a few weeks ago at COTA, but finishes in 32nd. Josh Berry had electrical issues, had battery problems, finishes 33rd. Cole Custer, Shane Van Gisbergen, he spun after his right rear tire was not connected properly, and he had a loose wheel, and the tire actually popped out. And then Casey Mears making his first start since the 2019 Daytona 500 with Burt Myers in 37th, and Austin Cindric finishes dead last. He had to make multiple pit stops for electrical issues and eventually retire from the race due to Team Penske running out of batteries. So yeah, not a good day for the Blue Oval, specifically Team Penske. So yeah, this race was okay. I do have to point out with Fox, once again, their camera work was atrocious. At a track like Martinsville, enough with the onboard cameras, especially the rear onboard cameras. What are you exactly showing? All we just see is car. That's all we see. Nothing's really happening. So, and they missed some things. So again, typical Fox things. But I will give credit for the booth, because Mike Joy, Kevin Harvick, and Clint Bowyer, they spoke on what took place last night in the Xfinity Series race, and Mike Joy alluded to something like a dumpster fire is contained. The Xfinity Series is not contained, and Bowyer was talking about how Sammy Smith should have been penalized right there on the spot. Same thing with Kevin Harvick. I appreciate the honesty and how, listen, something needs to be done about that, so I just want to point that out. As for the race itself, I was expecting more. Don't get me wrong, my hopes weren't too high, but I was expecting a little bit more based on what we saw in the fall race at Martinsville. They brought the same tire, and we did see some tire fall off. We saw those rubber basically being painted on the side of the cars, which was kind of cool to see. But I think with it being 100 laps less, we didn't get to really see the full potential of that tire. And so either A, you have to add back 100 more laps to it, or B, Goodyear, you got to bring a softer tire. That's the only thing we can do about it. So I wasn't expecting much, but I was a little bit disappointed by how a little bit underwhelming that was. There was a little bit of strategy. Things kind of picked up in stage 3. We had a good storyline between Denny Hamlin, the leader, and Christopher Bell was closing in, chasing. He was trying to catch up to Hamlin, but unfortunately Hamlin was just doing a veteran move, holding his ground, saving his tires, not using up so much. Let Christopher Bell pull in, and then he can get out of the way when he needs to. So yeah, absolute masterclass by Denny Hamlin. He also won stage 2 doing the same thing with Chase Elliott. I mean, Hamlin built up a lead. Chase Elliott started closing in. Hamlin, though, he kept his ground and won stage 2. And to go back on the drivers that finished behind them, talk about Christopher Bell, had a great run here today, led 25 laps to a second place finish, performing a lot better than what I expected with Toyota as a whole. With Christopher Bell, I didn't think that they had the car that was capable of winning or having a strong run, but he had a really good run. He led the first 25 25 some odd laps in this race today, and he held his ground. So shout out to him. Third is Bubba Wallace. Didn't lead any laps today, but again, that consistency with that 23 team, he is going to win a race. I picked him to win, wasn't able to get it done, but he will win. He will win a race. I mean, when you're up front so many times, eventually you're going to capitalize. Third or second straight week in a row, comes home in third place. Chase Elliott started second, finishes in fourth. I'll be honest, I was surprised by how fast that 9 car was. You know, heading into the 2025 season, we looked at Bowman, Byron, and Larson. They had their moments, but Elliott was kind of that fourth driver. Not bad by any means. He was still really, really good. But compared to teammates, it seemed as though that, oh yeah, Elliott, he's kind of lagging back just a little bit, just a tiny bit. But today, that narrative was flipped. He showed up, led the second most laps of the race with 42, showed some real great pace. Nice run for that 9 car. And his teammate, Kyle Larson, in fifth. Yeah, he kind of was non-existent. I don't want to say non-existent. Maybe that's the wrong word. But he kind of just wasn't there. He wasn't up front, wasn't lead laps, didn't lead any laps, but he was just kind of there in the middle of everything. This was a relatively quiet fifth place run for Kyle Larson. Didn't do anything big, wasn't in any moments, just kind of had things kind of fall in his play. I thought he was maybe like a top 10 car. I didn't think he had a top 5 car, but things fell his way. Ends up in fifth. So nice quiet day for the 5 car of Larson. A couple of notables I want to mention. I mentioned 7th, Ryan Preece. Once again, somehow he's always been that driver that you don't hear about, you don't talk about, you don't see him, but somehow, oh, he pulls a top 10 finish somehow, some way. So excellent run for Ryan Preece, continuing on his momentum on the 2025 campaign and showing that, hey, there is some real talent to this guy. He just needs the equipment to be able to pull that off. I mentioned Joey Logano scoring his first top 10 finish. I mentioned him in that contact with Chase Briscoe, was able to rally nicely to a top 10 finish, led 13 laps in this race. 9th and 10th, Briscoe himself, again, continuing off the momentum that he brought in from last Sunday in Miami. Todd Gillen in 10th, was not expecting that 34 car to be anywhere near the top 10 because he started, I think, in the 25th position. So excellent run for that 34 team. 13th, Ty Gibbs. Let's give a round of applause. Round of applause. Come on, everybody stand up. Round of applause for Ty. Please, please stand up. Shout out to his first top 15 finish in what? Since October? I mean, how long has it been? Yeah, and he had to work for it. He showed real good speed all race long. I felt like he had a much better car. I felt like he had a top 10 car at minimum. So I think the 13th place run, I don't think they're going to be happy with that because they definitely had a top 10 car in my opinion. Did some really good moves, showed some real good pace. Had some issues with Tyler Reddick, who finished right behind him, I should say, in the 14th position. But overall, I felt like it was a very good day for Ty Gibbs considering the season that he has had. William Byron, he finished 22nd. Now, the reason why he finished that far down was because on lap 276, Shane Van Gisbergen, he spun in turns 3 and 4, like I mentioned earlier in the show. When that happened, though, William Byron just did his pit service and was a lap down. So when that happened, he got trapped a lap down, and there was nothing that William could do to recover from that, which is a shame because even though I didn't think William had a great car, he had, I think, a top 10 car at least. He was always around that top 10 area. So for him to finish 22nd, disappointing day for him. The finish did not show the speed that 24 car brought to the track. But yeah, overall, if I were to give a rating for this race, I give this like a 5.5 out of 10. It was, maybe 6. I don't know. Like I wasn't expecting much from this race, but I was still a little bit disappointed. I don't know why, but I thought we would expect a little bit more from Martinsville here today. With the tire, again, I think partly this has to do with the fact that it was 100 laps less. And again, I think the only thing you can do to fix spring Martinsville, for example, is to either A, bring it back to 500 laps, or B, have Goodyear bring an even softer tire. And I think that is the mindset that I think Goodyear has been having in recent weeks, is pushing the envelope, pushing it softer, go softer, go softer, go softer. I'm not sure if the tire they used today was the same tire they used as the option one at Phoenix, but if not, it should be. We need to go soft. I mean, almost Bristol levels where we're going 2 weeks from now. Very interested to see how that goes, if we get a repeat what we saw last spring. But yeah, there's still some work that needs to be done in the tire department. It's an improvement. It was an improvement. Again, it's always been an improvement from previous years, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. Let's circle back to Denny Hamlin. 55 career wins, I believe ties with Rusty Wallace for 11th on the all-time wins list. And I think Mike Joy said an interesting stat. This is, I believe, the 5th or 6th different crew chief he's won a cup race on. That is stupidly impressive for Denny Hamlin to do that, especially at his age. I mean, yes, there is going to be a point in time where that fall off will happen, and we still haven't seen that with Denny Hamlin. Yeah, it's been a bit rocky, but he has a new crew chief with Chris Gale, and they somehow been able to make it work. The past few weeks, they've kind of been starting to build some momentum. They had a great run at Phoenix. Last week, Miami, they showed a lot of speed, and obviously here tonight with a win for the 6th time in Hamlin's career. That 11 team, lately they have been clicking. They have been clicking, and Hamlin just always finds a way to be adaptive. And I think something that he alluded to for a lot of his career, he says he's not the best driver, but he thinks he works as hard as any other driver, if not works harder than any other driver on the grid. And I think when you look at the amount of changes that's happened to Hamlin's life and his career, he's having to deal with the lawsuit, dealing with the team, now dealing with the new crew chief, and he's still able to win, able to perform. It speaks volume as to how impressive not only the longevity of Hamlin's career, but also still with the constant changes that are going on around Hamlin's career, he's still able to bring it 110%, still is able to find a way and get the job done and go to victory lane. So that is insanely impressive from Denny Hamlin. Absolutely masterful job from him and the 11 team and Chris Gale. Everyone, they just checked off all the boxes, did everything right. But what are your thoughts on this race? Let me know in the comment section down below. As always, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Until next time, my name is Jed from MDK. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.